Hey guys, before I get to this review of these Chip Theory Kids games, I just want to give a shout out to Feltectors for this giant, beautiful playmat. Please check out a link to their website in the description. They have all different kinds of playmats, shapes, sizes. They've even got poker mats, all kinds of good stuff. Also, if you do like this video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you are alerted every time we drop a new review. Hey guys, I'm Tim, and this is the Board Game Rundown. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about this Chip Theory Kids versus Play collection. So, Chip Theory asked if I was interested in checking out kids games. I obviously have two kids, one a little bit younger than the other. So, of course, I said yes, because Chip Theory is doing kids games. I'm in. I want to see what's up. So they sent this 3-pack over, and so there's a game called Bear in Mind, there's Woodland Rush, and there's Octo Grabbo. All of these games are very straightforward and very accessible for young children. I believe almost all of them are like 4 and up. So we'll get into it. I'm going to start off, I'm going to talk about Octo Grabbo first. All right, Octo Grabbo. So in Octo Grabbo, you're going to have a pair of chopsticks, as will all the people playing. And you can play in 2 different modes. You can play sort of in the easier going mode, where the player's going to roll a die, and they're going to try to grab that food with their chopstick and fill their board. If you roll a net, you can grab any of the food you want. If you roll that greedy Grabbo octopus, you steal from another player. You can only steal what you need. Or actually, if they don't have anything you need, you just take it and throw it back in the box. If you roll that shark, you lose one of yours back to the sea here, to the ocean. Now, they do a very cool thing where if you are not very good at using chopsticks, they give you these little Octo Grabbo chopstick holders. Make it a lot easier for the little ones or people like me that are just inept in using that. And they even have a hole in the center, so like the real young ones that are struggling can use this. I played a few games with Clark, my 9-year-old, this weekend, and he had a great time. We played it. The other mode you can play is turbo mode. So you flip over a card, and then all the players are trying to get all of the food shown on the card on their board. And once you get it, you're like done, and you play till I think 5 cards. It's pretty straightforward. It's all, again, these rules are they're very light, they're very easy, so very accessible. I'm talking like Haba level. But with that sort of extra gradient by adding the turbo mode of the game. So it's not just necessarily the roll and grab your thing. You can go for that little slightly more intense and competitive version. So whichever one's going to get your kid to sit down and play with you. Again, this game, I mean, I played all these with Clark multiple times, and they're fast. They're really fast. I mean, we're done in 10 minutes tops. And so the great thing is low rules overhead. I keep his attention and constant engagement. So that is Octo Grabbo. All right, next one I'm going to talk about is Woodland Rush. This one's a little crazier. Because what we're trying to do here is we're going to compete. We're going to flip over this timer, and then the active player is going to then resolve as many of these cards as they can on their turn. So you're going to flip it over. Well, this is just a point. So sweet, I just get that one. I should have staged these. This one, I've got to do this. I got to do this pose. If I do that, I get this. This, I've got to build that tree. So you've got these blocks here that needs a pink bottom, an orange, a blue, and a red. Built. Okay, good. I get to score that card. There's another tree. Here's a good one. So now this one, it's got all the funny little woodland characters here, right? So, but you need to put them on the numbered space. So I need that skunk on a 1, and that duck on a 2, and the porcupine on a 3, and the squirrel on a 4. Boom, done. Now we've resolved it. So you're flying through all of these while the time is going. And so there's some pressure because you're like, oh, I got to hurry up. There is even a hide and seek card. So you got to look. Everybody plays the hide and seek one. When that boy comes out, you're looking and you got to shout out the character that's not on there. So I'd be like, Porcupine, the Porcupine's not there. They do all have really cute names, but I don't want to get them wrong, so I'm not going to say them. But then whoever gets that card. There's a minus, card you can get. There's a robber, so you can steal other players' points. Some of the tree cards have 2 trees on them, and then we will eventually find, here's a little food card. So we've got this little grid here. And it's kind of like a memory game. You're going to flip over until you can find your match. Now, you get to keep going, but the problem is every time you get it wrong, you're losing time. There is even a timer card. So if you get this card, you basically can save it. And if you want, you can put it on the bottom of the deck and you can flip it over and give yourself more time. And that's basically how the game plays. You play until everybody, depending on player count, everybody gets X amount of turns. I think we had like 5 turns each, playing 2 players. Played this again with my son Clark, and he loved it. The timer, it was so intense. He was all excited. He's stressed as he's trying, in a fun way, as he's trying to build the trees or do the goofy things or find the matches. I mean, had an absolute blast. It's hard to tell which one was his favorite out of the 3, but it's definitely, Woodland Rush was definitely in competition for it, because we played it, immediately wanted to play again. He's laughing, he's having a great time, and you're able to score a ton of points, right? And that feels good. You just got this big old stack of cards, and you're, again, like, he's laughing because I have to do the goofy stuff. He's doing the goofy stuff and laughing. Really cool, really sweet. I don't know. It's just fun. It felt very good-natured. So for a kid's game, really good, really engaging. And again, if I can get him to sit, and he sat with me and played all 3 of these multiple times in like one go, which is amazing. That basically never happens. So Woodland Rush, it's very straightforward. And again, you got younger kids, you give them the extra flip of the sand timer on their turn. And so then you can just do the 1 minute, and then they can do the 2. And then if they get that timer card, they can go again. It just makes it a little easier for them, maybe take the edge off of the pressure for them a little bit. But I mean, my 9-year-old, no problem. Like, he had a great time. He was happy with the timer and the way that all of that shook out. So Woodland Rush, really fun. And again, he and I had a great time playing this, just laughing our butts off. Okay, last game I'm going to talk about today is called Bear in Mind. This one is designed by Reiner Knizia. And this one was the one I don't want to say worried, but I wasn't sure how my son was going to dig this one as much. Because it's a little more, this is just different than all the others. So you've got all these little story, these pictures here, right? That kind of are going to tell a story, because while this bear was hibernating, all of his buddies were doing fun things. And so when he comes out of hibernation, we're going to tell all the stories of everything that we did. And to do that, we're going to draw a tile, and then you're going to assign it to one of these pictures. And then you need to make up a story about what's going on in that picture. So maybe I'll just go easy, right? There's an umbrella, and I'm like, oh, well, the hippo had an umbrella. He had a rain umbrella, and he had a sun umbrella. So it's something that helps you remember, what was there. And you're going to take turns going around. You might put the horn by this guy dancing, but you could put it anywhere you want, and that's part of the fun of it. You could put a snail in the forest, a robot, with the alligator. You might be like, well, the alligator was fishing and he caught a robot instead. That's hilarious. And so we're going to populate all of these, right? You're going to go around. We're going to go until we've got tiles on all of them. And then depending on how long of a game you want, that's going to determine the total tiles you use. I think we played the short game a few times. So then what's going to happen is now all these go face down. And now it gets interesting, because we're going to roll that die, and old Bobby's going to walk in a clockwise direction. And now I've got to remember what was here. And if I get it right, I get the tile in front of me. I get it, and I get to put it in front of me, and you're just trying to get as many tiles as you can before the game runs out. So if I said a snail, there's a snail, I get to keep it. But also, I get to refill the board. So now I've got to come up with a reason why that old crocodile is hanging out in the forest. but you make up a story. It's usually pretty funny. Like ours got pretty goofy. And then when you don't have any more tiles to place, it's going to be an empty spot. And then once there are some empty spots on the board, when the bear moves around to a spot that does not have a tile, the game ends and the player with the most tiles wins. So this is like a storytelling memory game, you know, so the stories hopefully help you remember what is where. But I thought it was really interesting, but I wasn't sure if my son was going to find it as interesting as I did. But immediately his eyes lit up. He glommed on to like coming up with the crazy stories and putting stuff in weird places, because frankly, it's just a lot more interesting that way. And we're laughing and we're having a good time. And it was almost more like, I mean, he wanted to win. I mean, it was competitive, don't get me wrong, but he really enjoyed sort of just building that tableau of stories and like goofy things that's going on with all of these different tiles on, you know, in these different areas. And then when we were done, we immediately wanted to play again. We flipped them over. You can run them in any order or combination you want. They're two-sided. They're all different and do silly things. And then there's tons of tiles in this box. I mean, tons of them. So you're going to see all kinds of different items and things. And some of them line up great, and some of them you're like, I don't even know how I'm going to make this work. But, you know, for me, the harder it was to make it fit, the funnier the stories got and kind of the more interesting it was. So we had a great time playing this. And I can't tell if this was Clark's favorite or if the Woodland Rush was, but he really enjoyed all three of these games, and I thought they were all great. If you have the ability to just get the whole kit and caboodle, that collection, do it. If you've got younger kids, this is great. This is sort of for me, like as a dad, when I was getting into the hobby, it was kind of like all I had to go on were like Haba games and then some of the mass market games. And obviously I leaned a little more towards the Haba because they tended to be more interesting and fun. But now, like, now my daughter, she's 13. I don't know, like she probably would like this one. I mean, I think she would get bored with them like kind of quick, but they play fast. But my son and younger, like he wanted to play again and again and again. And we were like changing them up and trying out different ones. And because each one takes 10 to 15 minutes and the rule books are all tiny, but very clear. It's really straightforward, and you know how it is. It's hard enough when you're teaching adults games, and if you go more than 10 minutes in the teach, the eyes start to glaze over. So with kids, it's doubly so. But yeah, these were really cute, really fun. I had no idea what to expect. They said, "Hey, we've got a kids games line that we're doing. Are you interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to see what it looks like." Totally unique to anything that I've ever seen from Chip Theory. But these are totally games that I could see any kid playing and having a good time. I was really impressed. Because they're kids games, I'm not going to like rate them like I would with a BGG, rating like we do with some games. But I just will say, if you have young ones and you want to get them to play games with you, these are great. These are really good. I strongly recommend them. Again, right? I got my son who likes to read, but like, man, he really lit up and got into the storytelling part of this. Like, he really loved that. He loved coming up with the funny things. And again, we're cackling and we're playing Woodland Rush and we're hurrying through all those cards and trying to knock out as many of those as we could. And he's just having a great time. And then that Octo Grabbo, man, we were having a heck of a time trying to get some of those bits, and we're laughing as, I'm trying to pick them up and they're falling or, going all over the place in a good way, and so I don't know what else I can ask. If I can get my son to sit down and play not just one, but like 3 separate games, and then we play all of them multiple times, that's a pretty dang good night for me. So I was really excited. I'm really excited that they all worked out as well as they did. I thought, well, 1 out of 3, even if 1 out of 3 is pretty good, like that'll work. But no, he had a great time with all of them. So just going off of his level of enjoyment, and then plus me as obviously a heavier gamer, I had a great time playing it with him. So just a very strong recommend for this set of kids games. Again, they sent us this, but this is not paid content. But I'm really glad I got these because I know that my boy's going to want to play them again really soon. And anytime my kids want to play a game, I'm like, yes, I don't even care what it is. So it's even better if I get to play one that I enjoy. And I had a good time with all of these. That's all I got for this set, this Chip Theory Kids versus Play collection. Really good, really fun, very sweet. For the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.